In the previous video, I showed you how you could use your magic wand and your eraser to get rid of your background fairly easy. Um, so that works really well usually when you have a nice flat background like this. You're able to grab a section and it's a very defined um, difference between the background and the subject, right? But even in this case, you'll notice that it actually went into this part of the glove or the wrist wrap, and you want to kind of pay attention to that kind of stuff. That kind of thing happens even more when you have an image such as this one right here on the top layer, where your background is dark and so is her clothes. This is going to be really hard for you to select. If I have that layer selected, right? If I try to use this magic wand, you'll notice that I'm trying to just select the background, but because her clothes and the background are so close in color, I'm going to delete all that stuff, and I don't want to do that. So let's show you how you can utilize some other tools to get rid of the background. Let's zoom in on this one because this image is much smaller, so I'm going to use the zoom tool. This is that little magnifying glass down here. We're going to zoom in so that we can actually see this picture much closer. If I hold down the space bar, you'll notice this little hand that shows up, and then I can drag and move around this picture. Now that I'm close, I can kind of move around this picture a little bit easier. So what I want to do is I want to get rid of this background and leave Ronda Rousey. First technique that we'll use is using this lasso tool. The polygonal lasso tool is the one that we want. So if I put this little arrow, the little arrow that's part of this icon that you see here, on her, then you'll notice that I'll start to create these little lines, that I can actually trace around her image. You have to be very patient when you use this technique because it makes straight lines. So in cases where there are curves to the image that you're trying to manipulate, you want to just kind of go a very short distance at a time so that you can recreate the look of this edge that's kind of curved. So you'll literally be tracing around the image slowly, carefully, patiently. This requires patience. For the sake of this demonstration, I'm not going to do the whole picture because you can probably tell that it'll take a while. But I selected a specific area there. Now I can eliminate that background that way. Another way that you can do this is if I apply what's called a mask. So here I am on this layer right here, and I can apply a mask to this layer. So if I go down here to this little icon that you see down here and click on that, then you'll notice that there's a little box that shows up next to this other box. And as long as that's selected, and as long as I am, I can use the paintbrush, which is this tool, and I want to paint with the color black. So if you see these little squares down here, when I click on this little icon that's right here at the top, that automatically gives me white on the top and black on the bottom. If I want to switch that, I can hit this little curvy line that you see down here, and that'll put black on the top and white on the bottom. So as long as I am painting using this paintbrush, as long as I'm using the color black, anything that I paint will go away on this picture. So let me make this brush much smaller. You notice how big and gigantic this brush is. I'm going to go over here to the top left and make this brush much smaller. So now I'm using the color black, and as I paint with that color black, you'll notice that that background starts to go away. So I can create a nice little feathery effect similar to what I was showing you when we were working with that eraser. If I wanted to, I can change this and make it a solid type of an edge as well. Again, I'm kind of erasing the background. Now here's the cool thing about using a mask, which is very different from when you use the eraser, is that if I make a mistake here and I go over her face and I didn't mean to, not only can you step back by going to edit, but I can also come back here and turn this top square to white, now I'm painting with the color white, and I can actually just go ahead and paint that right back in if I'm using the color white. So whatever I paint in white, I can bring back. Whatever I paint in black will go away. So again, if you switch this, I got black on the back, on the top here, then I can erase. If I'm painting with black, it'll go away. If I'm painting with white, it'll come back. As long as you're using your mask, which is the little square area here, right next to that one, then you can utilize this technique.